coming out tomorrow. Certainly not going to, predict from here. As you know, and you've heard us say this many times before, we believe that the plans that the president, the economic policy plans that the president has put forth, and also as it relates to the historic pieces of legislation that has passed under this president, certainly has helped the economy get it back on its feet. Annual inflation, as you've heard us say, has fallen for 10 months in a row, down more than 40% since last summer. So that is incredibly important as we talk about lowering costs. And look, in addition, the president has taken this very seriously. When he looks at his economic policy, at the number one thing that he wants to do is continue to lower costs from the American people. Hence, as I just mentioned, the historic pieces of legislation, Inflation Reduction Act, does that with energy, does that with healthcare costs. And so certainly that is going to be something that the president's going to focus on when CPI numbers come out tomorrow. I'm sure, as we always do, our economic experts will look into it, we'll go into the data, and certainly we'll have more to share tomorrow.
And I just wanted to ask about your topper. You were, I think we could say, very critical of the Republican tax proposal. I'm wondering, last year, lawmakers were sort of unable to strike a deal that would see some business tax cuts restored or go into effect in exchange for things like the child tax credit or earned income tax credit the Democrats have wanted. Should we read your comments at the top as you guys think that the Republican proposal is sort of so far out there that you're not going to see a deal this year, or do you see a potential negotiation?
So it's a very good question. Look, the way that we see this process, the way that the president sees this is like he's always open to a conversation about lowering the deficit. Absolutely. That is something that the president wants to do. We talk about bipartisanship a lot. He has signed more than 350 pieces of legislation that were indeed bipartisan. Most recently, as you all know, the budget agreement that was critical in making sure that we did not default for the first time ever in the country's history. But he also is going to make sure that we speak clearly about when we're reducing the deficit, we got to do it also by making sure that the wealthy pay their fair share. We cannot just put this on everyday Americans, working families, and we have to make sure that we continue to lower costs as it relates to, as you're talking to me about cutting child poverty. That is something that's incredibly important. But unfortunately, we see that, and I said this at the top, that Republicans are more interested in trickle-down economics, and that is not what this president is for. We want to have the conversation. We do. We want to have the conversation about lowering the deficit. Budget agreement that we just signed, it does that by $1 trillion, and that was in a bipartisan way. So let's continue to have those types of conversation on how we can really deliver for the American people, lower cost, and make sure that the wealthy pay their fair share.
Good afternoon, friends. This is major news. Our federal government just released a big announcement that will affect millions of Americans. Many lawmakers are now allocating billions of dollars from leftover crisis relief funds towards new plans that would provide financial aid to low-income households. And many families will now be able to claim even bigger tax credits thanks to these new plans. My friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video for the latest news and information. Also, this coming Friday, I will be announcing more winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. My dearest friends, if you would like to enter these weekly giveaways, simply click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, dear friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. As lawmakers and the Federal Reserve continue to try to avoid a recession, several U.S. states are coming forward approving extra relief for their residents. This week, the Massachusetts Senate unveiled a long-awaited $590 million tax relief proposal as state lawmakers and Democratic Governor Maura Healey worked to come up with a final tax cutting plan. The Senate proposal would increase the rental deduction cap from $3,000 to $4,000, as well as increase the child and dependent tax credit from $180 to $310 per child or dependent. It would also bump up the earned income tax credit from 30% to 40% of the federal credit, and then double the maximum senior circuit breaker credit from $1,200 to $2,400. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont also just signed into law legislation enacting the fiscal year 2024 and 2025. The bill contains several tax relief measures for residents of Connecticut that includes the largest reduction in the income tax in state history. The tax relief measures include an income tax cut for the middle class. It is estimated that 1 million tax filers will benefit from the rate cuts. Also, the bill includes an increase in the earned income tax credit for low-income workers from the current rate of 30.5% of the federal credit to 40%. The earned income tax credit is a refundable state income tax credit for low-income working individuals and families that mirrors the federal credit. So this change will provide an additional $44.6 million in state tax credits to an estimated 211,000 residents of Connecticut. The Department of Education just confirmed in October 2022 that tens of millions of borrowers will be required to pay their monthly federal student loan bills. This would be for the first time since March of 2020. The crisis-related pause on both payments and interest accumulation has been set to end later this summer, though the exact date payments would be due was still a little fuzzy. A law passed in early June to address a debt ceiling officially prevented the crisis-related pause from being extended again. The repayment date has been extended a total of 8 times under both the Biden and the former president's administrations. Student loan borrowers typically receive their bill statements from their loan servicer a few weeks before they are due. Not every borrower's bill is due at the same time of the month. Student loan experts recommend that borrowers reach out to their student loan servicer with any questions about their loans as soon as possible, especially if they are interested in enrolling in an income-driven repayment plan. Those plans which set payments based on income and family size can lower monthly payments, but require borrowers to submit some paperwork. Some borrowers may struggle to resume paying their monthly student loan bills. More student loan borrowers are currently behind on other kind of bills than they were before the crisis. When payments restart, many people might be confused about how much they owe and when to pay and how to pay. Millions of borrowers will have a different servicer handling their student loans since the last time they made a payment. Originally, the pause on federal student loan payments was put in place to help borrowers who were struggling financially due to the crisis. From a jobs perspective, the economy has largely recovered from the crisis-related disruptions. In May, 3.7 million more people were working than in February 2020. But there are some soft spots. Major layoffs have recently been announced at big companies like Disney and Amazon. Earlier this year, a regional banking crisis was set off by the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, the largest bank to fail since the 2008 financial crisis. And inflation remains very high, but is cooling after reaching a 40-year peak last year. Meanwhile, all eyes are on the Supreme Court as student loan borrowers wait to see if the Biden administration will be allowed to move forward with its student loan forgiveness program. A decision is expected in late June or early July. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts about the student loan forgiveness plan? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Well, my marvelous and magnificent friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this Monday. My dearest friends, thank you very, very much for being here and for being part of this community. To say thank you and to show my appreciation, I will be announcing several winners this coming Friday for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, dear friends, all you'll need to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed week.